Hi, Flosstube. This is Veronica with Night Stitch, and this is going to be my year-end review for 2024. I've never done one of these before, so I don't actually know if everything that I say in here is going to be like a complete summary of what I have done, but the way I'm going to do it is I'm just going to go do whatever I think is appropriate for a year-end review, and then next year when I do one of these, hopefully if I keep myself consistent with Flosstube and stitching, then I'll refine what I have. So if I didn't like something I did this year, then I'll change it for next year. Or if I think of something that I think I want to do better or differently, then I'll change it for next year. So this is kind of a fly by the seat of my pants, kind of winging it kind of video. So what I've done is I have an Excel spreadsheet of projects that I've worked on per month. Now, sometimes I work on the same project. I'm not monogamous as far as, I'm not a monogamous stitcher, so I work on a lot of different things all month. But there are times when I roll my decision wheel and I'll pull the same whip, and if I feel like working on it, then I'll work on it. Or if I just feel like I want to work on the same whip again, then I will. So what I'm saying is that my projects kind of overlap sometimes during the months. So what I've tried to do is make the Excel spreadsheet have when I started it, if I started it in 2024, because there are some things that I have no idea when I started them. The only ones I know for sure that I started before 2024 are the things I started in 2018 for Stitch Mania. So those will have start dates. Everything in 2024 has a start date, but everything else is just kind of a free-for-all. So I think my explanations are just going all over the place. Anyway, so what I've done is I've filmed short clips of me showing the projects that I worked on during the month. So like I'll have one for April through November right now. I'm trying to decide how to do December because it's currently December, and so the month isn't over yet. So I don't know, maybe I'll release this in January, so then I'll have my December stuff. I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm flying by the seat of my pants. I'm totally winging this, so but for now I'm just going to put in clips of me showing you my whips that I worked on in each month of 2024, starting in April, because that's when I started stitching again this year. I went on a crafters retreat in April of 2024, and so I started stitching again after I came home because I did diamond painting during the crafting retreat. So when I got home, it was kind of maybe like the middle of April, so I am going to show you the non-WIPGO related projects that I stitched in April. This is Castle Homecoming Club by Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, and I'm stitching it on Eucalyptus Showers by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. I have clues 1 through 4 finished. So it's like the bottom half of the pattern. I started in the middle and I worked my way out, and I kept on track up until clue number 4, which I did not finish in the stitch along time period. So I just stopped, and then I started just working on it whenever I felt like it, instead of within the clue time periods. I did everybody's skin 1/1 because I like the texture difference, and I added some metallics in the frog prints and some of the knights' helmets. And I still have to backstitch the male knight who's feeding the dragon the marshmallow because I forgot the backstitch in his helmet. And I used alpaca thread for the wizard's beard to make it fuzzy. And I'm stitching the rest of it 2/2, so it's 16 count. And I'm using the Classic Colorworks threads that they suggested. There's 2 of them, and the rest are DMC. And the metallic is DMC Diamant, which is the metallic thread that I like when I'm stitching with metallic thread. I will use Kreinik sometimes, but I can get DMC Diamant at my Hobby Lobby, so I just use that normally so I don't have to order stuff unless it doesn't have a color that I want, because it only has like 4 or 5 colors right now. So yeah, this next one that I worked on in April of 2024 is done on Peacock by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana, and it's the Clouds Factory Epic Disney Princesses. Massive piece of so it's on this fabric, and I started in the middle, and I have the castle and one of the flourishes and the flower and Aladdin completed, and I started Pocahontas. This is done 2/2 on 32 count, so it's 16 count, and I think I used some substitutions. This gold here is the DMC Diamant. I don't know how well that's showing up. And then for some of the things in the castle, some of the pinks I think I didn't have, so I used some substitutions. Yeah, there's like a variegated floss in here that's like pink and white. I don't know if you can see it. So I did the skin 1/1, but everything else is 2/2, and then the rest of it, this is Fiberlicious Moscow, this blue and white. And then everything else is DMC. I changed John Smith's shirt to be a little more blue because his shirt was blending in with his armor, and that wasn't quite right for how he looks in the movie. So I'm going to stitch Thomas, which I charted myself because they didn't chart Thomas in here, and I'm gonna move. He's gonna go here next to John Smith, and I'm gonna move Governor Ratcliffe and Percy, who are over here as well, over. And then there's like an extra tree over here that I'm not Going to stitch if I don't have space because the leaves up here are already part of that tree on the other side, so these are the two projects that I stitched in April of 2024, and I will be back with my projects that I stitched in May of 2024. These are the projects I worked on in May. This is actually a new start in May. On May 23rd, I started Très Jolie Salon by Mill Hill. It's a buttons and beads kit. And it's part of the Spring Series Main Street. And by now I have finished it. I finished it on October 27th, 2024. And I spent a total of 16 stitching days on it. I just did the instructions. It came in the kit, so it's 2/1 full cross. There's some back stitch and then of course beading. This was my very first Mill Hill kit that I finished. I don't know if it was the first one I bought because I bought the bacon and eggs one as well. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about it. I bought a frame for it, but I'll show you that later because today I'm just doing projects I worked on in May of 2024. This next one is in my Game of Thrones project bag. I got this from a shop called Maggie's Minders on Etsy. And this is my House Targaryen banner from Lolita Made. This shop is now closed. This is the Game of Thrones Targaryen house banner. It was originally charted to be that bright orange color on a dark fabric. I decided that I wanted to do it multicolored, so I added black and the DMC Diamond Gold. And then the words Fire and Blood are variegated DMC. And I think that's all that I changed. This fabric is, I have the label in here. This fabric is Amazing Grays by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And the way I decided to do the color changes was by section. So I have the dragons in bright orange and then the little accents underneath kind of to balance it out. And then up at the top, I wanted the borders to be black. And then the gold is in between the borders so that there's a little bit of sparkle throughout the whole thing. So I didn't start tracking statistics on this project when I started it because I started it on February 19th, 2018, and I have no idea how many days I've worked on it. And it is 2/2 full cross. But I have a rough estimate because I finished a few pages, and so I was able to calculate some of those pages, but I think it's wrong because it says 45.62%. I don't know why I keep unfolding this and folding it back, but it says 45.62%, but I feel like it's way more because the bottom is basically done. I just have to finish the top, so it's probably more like 70 or 80% done. But my next one is Arctic Animals. I'm doing this on Fiberlicious Ashes to Ashes 32 count Lugana. And as of the filming of this video, I have clues 1 through 7 all the way done. So it's about halfway done. My statistics on here aren't right. This is the first time I'm doing this year-end review thing, so I don't have all of my statistics on the right sheets on display. So it says 31.79%, but that's not right because the top is basically done, I think, unless they add more to the top, but I'm not sure that they will, just based on the mock-up pattern that they showed. For the top half is done, so it's probably more like 50% done. But this is done 2/2 full cross with some backstitch, and there's DMC is what I used, and then I used Petite Treasure braid for the glittery stuff up at the top. It's glow in the dark. So if you I just ran it under my light for a few seconds, and then I took it to a completely dark room, and you can see the floss glow in the dark. So it's very fun. This is by Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, and it's their 2024 Stitch Along, and I'm actually keeping up with it. It's the first Stitch Along that I've ever kept up with. Oh, I started it on May 9th, 2024, because that's when they released it. I worked on it 15 days in May. It's been way more than 15 days as of now because it's December that I'm filming this clip. The last thing I worked on in May that was not Whipco is this cocktail pattern by Pinoy Stitch, and it is Sex on the Beach, and it's a recipe for the drink Sex on the Beach. This is MCG Textiles 28 count even weave, and I dyed it myself. It's blue and black, and this is what I have so far. I worked on it for 3 days in May, and I got the border pulled down from the right and then on the bottom, and then I got more of the straw done and the cup, and then some of the drink in the cup, and then I finished the accents in between, so the X's in between the words. There's another pattern I'm combining with it. It's called Pink Cocktails, and it's also by Pinoy Stitch, which is what is up here. And I feel like I need to chart more of it around the pattern because I just kind of put them where I wanted them by sight, and I think I want to actually chart it so I know where to stitch, because I think that I haven't worked on this as much because of that, because I'm like unsure where I want to put those other cocktails, and I feel like I need to just chart it so that I will just know what I'm doing. So this is also another one where I didn't have calculations for it because I didn't start doing that. Because I started this on May 8th, 2018 for Stitch Mania. And so I only started calculating what I have stitched for those 3 days. So I stitched 8.04%. So I've added 8.04% on to what I already had on there, which is unknown. And those are all of the pieces I stitched in May that were not whip go. And in May, I stitched 6,794 stitches during the month. And I did stitch for 31 days. So I stitched every day in May. And I don't think I did this in the April clip. So in April, I stitched a total of 4,919 stitches for the month. And I stitched a total of 19 days in April. So I will be back later with my June projects. First, I have Yoda by Natali Needlework. And the shop is closed. It was on Etsy. I'm doing it on Fiberlicious 28 count Opal Lugana. And it's called Poseidon's Cave. I started this on May 15th, 2018 for Stitch Mania. I have page 1 done. And I think I started on page 2 and then I ran out of thread for his hand. So I stopped. As of June 2024, I had 27.46% complete, and that's an estimate because I don't have Pattern Keeper, so any statistic that I calculate is my own math based on the stitch count and how well I counted the pattern. How well I counted the blocks that I've actually done. So this next one is a pattern that I charted. I made it for my aunt because she likes flamingos, and so I found a flamingo and I charted it. And this is on Aquamarine by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. This is what I have. I'm also putting a quote on there that says, when a door shuts, open it again. That's how doors work. And I started in the middle and then I went up to his neck and I finished his beak, and his leg I feel like I want to frog because I had originally charted the pattern with like some of that, like those little confetti colors, but then I decided I didn't need all of those, so I went back in and I cleaned up the pattern a little bit. So I hadn't stitched too much of the little confetti things, so I took some of them out, and then I think I actually took his leg, one of his legs, yeah. Down here I took that out, so I just need to take that out and restitch it. This next one is a pattern I found on Etsy. Let me see if I can find who it's by, because I didn't put that on the computer screen right now. So just need to open another window. It's done by Cross My Heart Craft on Etsy. And I started it on June 17th, 2024. And I am doing it on Fiberlicious Plum Blossoms. It's 32 count Lugana. And this is a memorial piece for the little Shih Tzu dog that sadly passed away. So my friend had a Shih Tzu dog and he died, so I'm making this for her so she can hang it on her wall. because this Shih Tzu pattern looked exactly like her dog. So I have that so far. And I like that you can already see that it's a nose, that it's a dog's nose. Oh, and that one is 12.69% complete. This next one is by Imaginating. It's designed by Ursula Michael. It's called Let's Appreciate Police, and they did the model stitch on white fabric with black thread. I did the inverse, so I did it on a darker fabric with white thread. So this is on Veil of the Night by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. I realized my minions are on my left hand, so I thought maybe it'd be fun to hold the card up with my left hand so you can see the minions. So this is Veil of the Night fabric, and this one is a finish. So I started it, I don't know when I started it, but I finished it on June 15th of 2024. And I think I might finish it on a canvas, like wrap it around a canvas and then put a hanger on it and then hang it on the wall. So I just changed most of the black in the car to white, and then I left the police 911 in black because I thought police cars should be black and white. And then I made the back bumper black, and I didn't make the front bumper black for some reason, but it's fine. And I think that's all that I changed. Now that I look at it, I'm like, I should have made the little push bar things in the front of the car metallic, but I had this for a while, and it was when I wasn't really that versed in like changing things yet. So other than changing the white thread to a dark, using a dark fabric and using white thread, because that's obviously what you should do if you want your project to stand out. But I hadn't been using things like metallic thread or even thinking about, hey, I could change that to metallic thread, so I did not. But I think if I did this now, like with the current way that I stitch, I probably would have put metallic in the push bumper on the front of the car, and the spokes of the wheels probably would have gotten metallic, and I might even have put metallic red lights. But I really like this finish. Okay, now I have Dashing Through the Hell No, which is a peacock and fig pattern, and I'm doing it, or I finished it on Frosty Mint fabric by Fiberlicious. It is 32 count Lugana, and I finished it. I started it on November 21st, 2020, and then I didn't touch it for 4 years, and then on June 18th, 2024, I finished it. So this is what it looks like. Should I just hold it here? Yeah, there. So I think I might make it into like a calendar page because I scrapbook as well, and so sometimes I make my own calendars. So I like scrapbook a bunch of stuff, and then so I might do this as a scrapbook page because it's small, and most of my scrapbook things are 12 by 12. So okay, and the last thing I did in June was this Christmas Advent calendar #1, and I finished it, and it's fully finished as well on this envelope because I'm going to play an Advent calendar thing in December of 2025, and inside this envelope I put a card that has a stitching prompt on it, and so I'm going to surprise myself next December because I don't know what's in here. And I do have a list of all the prompts I want to do. I only have like 3 right now because I've only finished 3 of the envelopes. But once I get all 24 prompts in their envelopes, I will take that list and throw it out so that I will really be surprised when I open this because I will not know what is in here. And this is the only one I finished this way, where I wrapped it around a piece of little cardboard and hot glued it and then glued it on to here. The rest of them I just left flat, which you'll see in another clip because I did not work on these or the other ones in June. This is the only one I worked in June. So I don't know why I keep saying worked on in June. So I started this on June 9th, 2024, and I finished it on June 13th, 2024. And it took me 4 days. And this fabric is Lava Chocolate. It's 28 count Opal Lugana. And it's by Fiberlicious. And yeah, that's what I did. And I used DMC, and it's stitched 2/2, and then the back stitch. So let's see, in June I stitched for 29 days total, and I stitched a total of 7,569 stitches. So yes, I think that's all for June. So I have some time, so I might come back like right after this and do July, what I stitched in July. So I'm gonna stop here, and then I'm gonna clean up my June stuff and pull out my July stuff, and then I'll be back. This first one is a pattern by Peacock and Fig. It's called Sarcasm, and it's done on 32 count Alice's Garden Lugana by Fiberlicious. And the words are by Peacock and Fig, and the orange and these holly berries are a DMC Christmas wreath that I found on DMC's website, and I downloaded it, and I'm gonna work that wreath around the words because I didn't like the wreath that the pattern came with, the Sarcasm pattern came with, because I tried stitching it for a while, and then it's a wreath that's full of flowers, which is fine. Flowers are just not part of my decor in my house, and so I thought I don't really want to stitch flowers because then I won't hang this up. So I like food, so I found a wreath with some food in it, and so I'm using that instead. And the words are not all black as they were charted. I changed the colors of the word sarcasm to a DMC variegated, and the perfect is in Fiberlicious Moscow, And the word stupid is in Fiberlicious Caribbean Carnival. And I stitched everything 2/2 except for where there's backstitch and metallic. I used 1 strand over 2. On the metallic I'm using is DMC Diamant. That one I wasn't tracking statistics from when I started it, so I don't know how much of a percentage I have done. I worked on it for 2 days in July. And I don't know when I started it. This next one is Christmas Advent Calendar. No, I don't want to show number 3 first. Christmas Advent Calendar number 2, which is an FFO. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of the Advent Calendars style. I just cut out the cross stitch and I glued it on to this envelope, and then I put scrapbook paper around it as a border so that it's actually flat. So I found a better way to finish this. I started this on July 1st, 2024. I finished it on July 19th, 2024, and I worked on it for 5 days, not consecutively. Because I have, you know, you guys know, I have like 50 whips, so. This is done on Lava Chocolate, 28 count Opal Lugana by Fiberlicious. I used DMC 2/2. And this is the back of the envelope. I have a wine glass because I like wine. And then I have Christmas Advent Calendar number 3. Oh, these are by Doreen Jones. I don't know if I said that. Sorry. This is all one pattern, but I'm separating them into individual finishes. I started this on July 26, 2024, and I finished it on July 31st, 2024. I worked on it for 6 days, and this is Ice Flowers 28 count Opal Lugana by Fiberlicious, and I also used DMC 2/2. And this one has red wine on the back. Okay, then I worked on my Savior's Words by Imaginating. This one is designed by Connie Abel. I find I really like imaginating patterns because I like stitching words. The model stitch is on white fabric. I did not use white fabric. This is 32 count Lugana Memories in the Rain by Fiberlicious. And because I use this color, I've had to substitute a few colors to make them show up. So this is what I have. A lot of the words are in different colors from the charted. So I have the red is Carrie's Creations. The blue and white is over here. Is Fiberlicious Moscow. This is Fiberlicious Caribbean Carnival. Over here, this one here is Most Sail Captain America. This here is Fiberlicious Vampire Raspberry. And so is this one up here. This one is the Carrie's Creations. And then for some of these flowers here, I had to substitute blue to make it stand out more. against my fabric. Every other color is the same. If it didn't blend in with my fabric, I kept it the same, but if it did, then I changed it. I wanted to use some of my variegated threads, so that's why I used so many in the words. The ribbon in the middle and the purple, those are all as charted, and then the eagle is as charted. And these flowers and this little heart thing are also as charted. The pattern uses just DMC, and I'm doing it 2/2 unless whatever the backstitch writing is. I started it on July 22nd, 2024, and I worked on it for 10 days in July. And as of July, it was at 11.74% complete. I'm gonna have to figure out a different way to put my Excel stuff because I want the percentage to be what it's actually, not just what I did in that month. But I will worry about that the next time that I do one of these end of year things. The next thing I worked on was Jolly Pirate. This is by Pova Trulia, and she has a shop on Amazon, and she reached out to me and asked if I would stitch one of her kits, and so I agreed, and so this is the kit that I got. This is a bookmark. I'm using all the kit materials, so I'm actually using the fabric that came with it, which is a 16 count Aida, and I'm doing it, I think the kit said 2/2, so, or 2/1. I'm so used to saying 2/2. It's 2/1 because it's Aida. And I finished all the crosses in the skull, and I need to backstitch him. So I'm in the process of backstitching him. He's about halfway backstitched. I started that one on July 18th, 2024. In July, I started a lot of things. And he is 21.53% complete. As of July, because I don't know if I worked on him. I think I worked on him after July as well. So as of July, he was 21.53% complete. This next one is Christmas in the Kitchen. It's by Sue Hillis. And it looks like this. I started it on July 15th, 2024. And this is Summer Soiree by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And I worked on this for 6 days in July. I'm using the DMC. This is the whole fabric. And I have the bowl of eggs with the little patchwork napkin cloth, dishcloth, and the milk jug. And I backstitched all of it. Oh, and I have a little rolling pin there. So I ironed this and then I put it back in the bag so it's folded again. So sorry if you can't see the rolling pin there. There's a rolling pin. So I iron my projects after I take them off the Q-snap, after I've worked on them. So they're not wrinkly like when you crumple up a piece of paper and they're all crinkly. But then I put them back in a project bag, so then they're folded wrinkly. Like they're wrinkly where I folded them. Because I don't want to iron everything before I do a floss tube, because then I'll have to have everything out of their bag and then it'll just be this chaotic mess. I have a percentage for that one. As of July, it was 8.67% complete. This is America, America by Stony Creek. This was one of the free patterns I got from them where you just had to pay shipping. And I started this on July 3rd, 2024. And I worked on it for 3 days in July. And I'm doing it on Fiberlicious Dragon Tears. It's 32 count Lugana. And I'm using DMC and I'm doing 2/2. And I hope I'm not doing that thing where everything I say sounds like a question, but I feel like I have been for a little while, which I hate it when people do that, so I don't want to do that. Nope, that's upside down. See this arrow here? This is a temporary arrow that I stitch into all of my projects when I remember to. Because when the project looks like a little blob, it's hard to tell what direction it's supposed to go. So the arrow guides me until I get enough of the pattern stitched where I know what up is. But I don't take it out until I'm done with the project. Or sometimes I don't even take it out because it doesn't matter, because when I wrap it around something and frame it, nobody sees it anyway. But that is what I have so far. I started in the middle and I started working around with what colors I had. That one is 3.44% complete as of July, but I worked on it more after that, so it's more than 3.44%. It looks like I still have more time, so I'm gonna clean this up and then I'll come back with August projects. Oh, before I go to the next clip, that is, because you'll see me like 3 seconds after this. I stitched for 31 days in July, and I did a total of 10,191 stitches in July. In August, I worked on Be the Villain by Peacock and Fig, and I recently UFO'd this project, but I did work on it in August. So I put in 0.51% of what I already had on there, which was barely anything anyway. This is done on Fiberlicious 32 count Lugana, A Dance of Autumn. And I UFO'd it because I feel like because I pulled it out, I had this B here and then In Your Own Story and these curly cues. And the only thing I added was the T over here, and I just didn't want to work on it anymore. And I think I have other projects that I've found, other patterns that I find more interesting that talk about stabbing fabric, because this one has the stab something every day, which is why I liked the pattern, but it's just, I don't want to work on it, so I want to get a different pattern that says something similar and do that instead. So I'm going to frog all of this out, keep the fabric, and then start something else. This one is Captain America Holding a Flag. That's what I named it. And this is done on Thundercloud by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And the reason I'm calling the pattern that is because the pattern on Etsy by Vicky CALP, I can never say it because it's a bunch of consonants. So they just called it Captain America Superheroes or something, but I'm calling it Captain America Holding the Flag because that's what he's doing in the picture. So let's see, I worked on this for 14 days in August. I started it in August. I started it on August 28th, 2024, and I worked on it for 14 days, and I started in the middle and then I went up to the top of his head. And I'm not stitching the background. I got black fabric, dark fabric. It's not quite black, it's like dark gray, but I started in the middle and went all the way up because I wanted to get to the top of his head and then work down. So that is what I'm doing, and that's kind of how I decided I like to stitch, because I like to stitch in the center so I know that it's correct. Like, I know that I'll have enough space for the pattern to fit, but then I like working down, so I always stitch my way up because I can't count these holes and know that I'm correct. So I stitch my way up and then I stitch my way back down. It's like a roller coaster. There, I'm gonna say I roller coaster stitch, because I don't cross country and I don't park, at least not in like a huge majority of, because sometimes I will park if I need to, like on a heaven and earth design, if there's like a lot of different colors in a little block, I will park just so that I don't have to end the threads, because that would be crazy. But otherwise I start in the middle and I go up and then I go back down. So I roller coaster stitch. There. I have come up with a new term. So I'm really liking this. I got about half of his face done. At least outline, to the point where I can kind of tell that it's his eye and his nose and his mouth. And his left ear is done. Yeah. I really like this one. He is 3.06% complete. Okay, this next one is by Soda Stitch. I started it on August 26, 2024. I'm doing it on Buttercream by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And I worked on this one for 2 days. And this is DMC 2/2. And it started in the middle, and it's the French press. I was a little surprised this one had no backstitch, but I was very happy and surprised, because my other one, Wine and Desserts, that one has a lot of backstitch, so I was a little surprised that there was like no backstitch in this one, but happy, because I'm not a huge fan of backstitch. I know what it does and I like the effect, I just don't like the act of doing it, so I usually backstitch as I go so that I don't get tired of the project and don't work on it because I'm trying to avoid the backstitch. I think it kind of looks like R2-D2 a little bit, probably because of the little knob on his head, but it's a French press. This one is 2.67% complete. This next one is a new start by Erica Glover. It's called Every Book is a TARDIS. It was a free pattern that I got a long time ago, so I don't know if it's still free or available. I'm doing this on Where Shadow Used to Fall. It's 28 count Opal Lugana. I have the TARDIS basically done. I need to put the handles on the TARDIS and add the words, and then I'll be done. And the reason I put the TARDIS all the way over there is because I was gonna do other bookmarks, because this is a bookmark, so I was gonna do other bookmarks all on this fabric and then cut them out. So this one is 14.12% complete, and I just used DMC, and one of the colors is Classic Colorworks, I think, or maybe not. No, I was gonna use Classic Colorworks on probably the letters. Yeah, I had some idea to use a Classic Colorworks Tyler Boy Blue in it, but I think it was the word. So I'm planning on using it. I haven't actually used it yet. So this isn't just DMC for now. It's 2/2. Okay, this next one I started in August. August 12th, 2024 is when I started it. But it's currently at my LNS because it was a model stitch, and I finished it not in August, but I have since finished it. I'm filming this in December, so I worked on it for 17 days, and the fabric was Jade Dragon 32 count Lugana by Fiberlicious, and this is the pattern. It's Fresh Brewed Coffee by Little House Needleworks, and I used all of the called for colors, which were Classic Colorworks, except for hickory sticks. I used black coffee instead. I'll put a picture of how I finished it, how I fully finished it and gave it to my LNS. So I'll do that here. It took me 17 stitching days to finish it. The next thing I worked on in August was called Paris by Riolis. This is a kit. I started it on May 3rd, 2018 for Stitch Mania. This is on printed Aida. The cross stitch is not printed, but the words around are printed. So it's 14 count Aida, and so when I say printed, I mean they printed the border around and then you cross stitch in the middle, so it's empty here. So this is one where I am parking a little bit just so that I can get everything in the right spot. And I worked on this for 11 days in August. I don't have a stitch count or anything, so this one I have no percentage for. But I worked in the sky and I worked my way down to this building, which I feel like looks like egg salad, which made me laugh because egg salad's one of my favorite types of sandwiches. And yeah. This is one of my very few project bags I have. It's tacos. Tacos, pretzels, watermelons, and ice cream cones. And they're all on the beach, so they all have sunglasses on, and some of them are surfing. This pretzel is surfing. I got it from a store. I don't know which store, like Walmart or TJ Maxx or something, I don't know. But it was see-through, so I thought it would be really good for my stuff. Because I like being able to see what's in my bag. See what's in my bag, which is why I use these slidey bags, because they're such transparent. So transparent. because I like it. Let's see. Sherlock and Watson. This is by Fiddlesticks AU, and I started this on August 1st, 2024. And I'm doing it on Silver Moon by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And I'm gonna stitch this for my best friend because we are Sherlock and Watson. I'm Sherlock and she's Watson, so this is, it's gonna say you are the Watson to my Sherlock, which is perfect for us. So I started in the middle and I went up to the left, and I decided I wanted to stitch the word Watson, so I just stitched the entire, well, the name, but I stitched the entire name because I felt like it. And I have this smiley face and then part of the wallpaper. The wallpaper is not quite done yet. And I have the line in the middle, the green line under the Watson. So this one is, I'm trying to read my statistics, 10.72% complete. And this is DMC 2/2. And I worked on it for 7 days in August. In August, I stitched 13,711 stitches for the month, and I stitched a total of 31 days. In September, I worked on a lot of things that I've already shown you, so I'm not going to show those again. Okay, so there's 2 new things that I haven't showed you yet that I worked on in September. So the first one is Williamsburg Santa. This is a Mill Hill kit. I started him on September 19th, 2024, and I have since finished this project. This is what he looks like. He's all beaded up, and I did his little fringe beard. This is 3/1 on perforated paper, and I just used everything that came in the kit, and I added this 1776 that's not charted, and I changed his eye color to light blue because I like that color. I don't know when I finished him, so I'll just find out that information later. This next one is Jan Lin, his cross. This is a kit that I got, I think from Michael's. I ordered it online, from Michael's online. And this is on Naiad because I didn't use the kit fabric because I don't particularly enjoy Aida. So this is 32 count Lugana. This was the fabric that I used for the project that I UFO'd. I had a bigger piece, so I cut off the part that I didn't want to stitch anymore. And I used the other half that I cut to size for this. And I started in the middle and I went up to the top of the cross, and then I started working out one of the arms of the cross. And this will all be backstitched later, so I think it'll be easier to see. I can see it in person, but in the video I feel like it's a little blended in. I'm going to use this project bag. It's from yazzie.com, and it's quilted and it's vinyl front. I was using this Ziploc bag, but it's too small. And the floss comes like this on the card. It's not actually looped. This is what I looped. It's kind of just hung over, but it's so long that it stays. Yay, perfect, it fits. In September, I stitched a total of 30 days and I did 8,708 stitches for the month. In October, I worked on this. This is a free pattern from Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, so I don't have a mock-up photo, but it is of a small chocolate cupcake. And I'm doing this on a Very Perry Winter by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And I have the cupcake about half done. It's a very small pattern. Gets only 20 by 20. 20 stitches by 20 stitches, so there it is. I substituted a bunch of colors because I felt like it, and I substituted Gloria from Mo Sale and Iris floss, which I found out is just the Artiste brand floss from Hobby Lobby. I had gotten some from my sister-in-law. Her mother had passed on her cross-stitch floss to me, so there was a bunch of Iris floss in the floss that she gave me. So I used that, and then I'm using Mo Sale chocolate for the brown. Yeah, I'm gonna add some words to this too. This is gonna be a subversive cupcake, so I'm gonna add the word "shut the fuck up cake" around it when I'm done with it. And I'm not sure if I'm gonna stitch more cupcakes or if I'm just gonna do the one in the middle. I don't know yet, but I thought I had the free pattern and I had never started it, so I thought I would start it. So I started it on October 24th, 2024. And I'm doing it on 2/2. Oh, that one I have 36.5% complete. I have a percentage for that one. Some of them I don't because they're old, or I don't have it on this sheet, or I'm really disorganized, so that's why. Let's see. I'm trying to find how many stitches I stitched in October, because I did not put that on my overall thing, which I should have, but I didn't. So 9,133 stitches in October. Oh, I did put it. I just put it on. I'm disorganized. It's fine. Good Lord, I'm like a chicken with my head cut off over here. I'm a hot mess. Okay, so I went and got my stuff that I stitched in November. The first one is Christmas Advent Calendar number 4 by Doreen Jones. I did it on Frosty Mint, 32 count Lugana by Fiberlicious. I started it on November 1st, 2024, and I finished it on November 2nd, 2024. So it's this angel on this side. And I worked on this at a crafting retreat. And I did it 2/2 with DMC and Carrie's Creations floss, which is the red in the 4, and there's one DMC I didn't have, so I substituted it wherever that was, so the number 4 and then some of the other little red pieces. And then her dress I did in Captain America by Mo Sale. It's the color of the floss. And this other one here, the stocking, is Christmas Advent Calendar number 5. And I started that on November 23rd, 2024, and I finished it on November 24th, 2024. And I also used DMC and Carrie's Creations, and I also did it 2/2. And on November 30th, 2024, I started this Cooler Designs Summer Sampler, designed by Sandy Orton. And I'm doing it on Ocean Mist by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And I started in the middle with this beige color here. And then I worked my way up to the left. So this is the top of the pattern. And I decided that I can't count all the way up to the left, and I didn't want to start at the top or the top left, because I just don't. I like starting in the middle, so I stitch my way up and then get to the top, and then I work down because I don't like working up. So I'm going to call this roller coaster stitching. I think I said this earlier in this video and with my Captain America start that I had. I start in the middle and I stitch my way up to the top, and then I go back down, so it's like a roller coaster. And that is 0.58% complete. These are all the finishes I had in 2024. These two patterns, which were by Peacock and Fig, and they are part of her Snarky Christmas series, so Fa La 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 Wine, and then Dashing Through the Hell No. This is Fall Foliage by Fiberlicious. It's 28 count Opal Lugana. And this is Zero Stars. This is a free pattern by Spruce Craft Co. And it says 2020, 0 stars, would not recommend. This next one you've seen if you've seen my Whip Parade and some of my other December videos that I've been uploading. This is Midnight Splendor, 28 count Opal Lugana by Fiberlicious. And this is my Queen of Cross Stitch beaded project that I finished. And I finished Christmas Truck by Dimensions. I don't have it anymore because I gave it away as a gift at the crafting retreat I went to. But I have a photo of it, and I put beads on it. There wasn't beads charted, but there were French knots charted, and I was like, no, I think French knots are the devil's popcorn, so I don't know. So I put beads on when there's French knots. The first model stitch I did was called Immortal by Lucy Beam, Love and Stitches, and that one she has hanging up on the wall in the LNS. So there's a photo of that here. And the last finish that I did was Thing 1 and Thing 2, and that one I gave to my sister-in-law for Christmas, and she really liked it, so yay! One gift down. And then I have another gift that I sent to my friend just randomly because I finished it and then I just sent it to her when I finished it. I didn't wait for any like special occasions. It's just her favorite swear words and then a little border in her favorite color. So, yes, that. Those are the digital finishes that I did that I almost forgot to put in here because I don't have them physically next to me. Those are all the finishes that I wanted to show you for 2024. I did very well. I normally don't finish anything, so I'm pretty proud of myself. I think that's all for the year-end video. I've been putting this together over a few months because some of the earlier clips I have shown, the progress is going to be different because I posted my WIP parade already and I worked on some of the projects again that I showed in like April or August. So a lot of it'll be like going back in time when you watch this video because the WIP parade I will have gotten farther on it, and then when I show it to you in this, because I showed it to you like before I worked on it again and then showed it in the WIP parade. So it might look a little weird where the progress is going backwards, but that's not, I did not take stitches out. So it's my first time doing it end of year, so I'm trying to figure out if I have everything. I think I might put December stuff after this, like in the beginning of January, and just put it in my January update because it's almost the 1st and there's just a lot of stuff going on. So I think I'm just gonna, plus I feel like I showed like half of my December stuff already in the WIP parade and WIP Go, and then my plans video, and then this video. So I'll just put it in the January stuff if there's anything new that I worked on that you haven't seen yet. Oh, well, I think that's all. So thank you guys for watching, liking, subscribing, and commenting, and I will see you in the new year. So, bye.